Good morning. Hi, I'm Pam Fox. Thanks for watching. I'm eating my breakfast this morning. If you're new to my channel, sometimes I eat while I shoot my videos, so I apologize if you think that's rude, but sometimes it's what I do. So this morning I'm eating, it's a hot cereal, but it's more like a porridge. This is leftover rice. So you just take leftover rice. This is actually some brown rice and some white rice. And you just put it in your blender and then cover it with some water that you boiled, some hot water, and you blend it. And I'll warn you right now, if you have, I have a Vitamix and it's a high-powered blender. And even with a Vitamix, it can tax the motor. Like when you get those rice and waters and you're blending, it kind of creates a real creamy porridge, kind of like a glue. So if you have a regular blender, just watch it really carefully. You start to smell your motor burning, add more water. You might not be able to make it super thick. But this is so creamy. If you like creamy foods, you would love this. You can sweeten it by adding in some dates, or you could add in, you know, whatever sugar you prefer, like an organic sugar or a agave or a organic maple syrup, something like that. It's even good without sugar. You can add in a handful of nuts. Any kind of nuts really adds an amazing nutty flavor to this. And you can make pudding. Do you guys like pudding? I love pudding. So as a base, you can just do the rice and water and then add in your cocoa powder and some dates. It makes an amazing chocolate pudding. My favorite is tapioca, and I actually have tapioca mixed in with this and a mango. It's really my favorite. Just the porridge, the cream of rice is what it is, but I blend it to a really smooth pudding-like consistency and then add that tapioca, and it just tastes like I'm eating hot pudding for breakfast with some fruit in it. Really good. Shout out to Chelsea, my stepdaughter. She got me these spoons for Christmas. Cool wooden spoons. Thank you, Chelsea. Okay, so I do have a topic this morning. Today's topic is on a lecture that I watched this week through the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, the school that I'm attending. And the lecturer's name was Dr. Marion Nestle, or Nestle, I'm not sure how it's pronounced. I'm going to say Nestle, because Nestle sounds like chocolate chips. But it is pronounced, it is spelled Nestle. She's an expert in her field. She primarily talks about and writes about food as it relates to politics, the politics of food. And so it was a really interesting lecture because she talked about the history of politics in the last 30 years and how that has influenced obesity. She talked primarily about subsidies in agriculture and how the government is subsidizing highly subsidizing certain foods, for example, corn, in order to make the high fructose corn syrup that goes in all of our junk foods, in order to subsidize other soy and other grains that are one of the hugest crops that this country produces in order to create, to grow food for livestock animals. And which she didn't talk a lot about, but she talked a little bit about the subsidies, and she focused more on the history of deregulation in the government on marketing food over the past 30 years. So I guess under the Reagan presidency, there was new laws put in place for deregulating how much the government could, you know, could regulate the marketing of food. In other words, you know, we do have laws. Let's say, you know, like for example, advertisers, they're supposed to be honest when they advertise, right? That's the law. That's a law. They have to be honest. They can't lie about their product. But there was a deregulation of marketing food in the 70s and early 80s. And so, how did this affect obesity and rates of being overweight? Well, in that time, in the last 30 years, the rates of being overweight and the rates of being obese have steadily climbed. And she showed a chart where the rates were like this, and then boom, 1980, they just went straight up. So we know we have a problem with obesity in our country. We know we have a problem with, you know, just general being overweight in our country. And so she talked about that. She talked about the reasons why, and then she talked about, you know, what she thinks we can do about it. And that's where I would like our topic of discussion to take place this morning. So if you are already a member of the Up Your Game Facebook page, that's great. Hello to all of my Up Your Gamer friends. If you're new and you haven't checked it out, I will put the link below. You can go check it out. You can join in on the conversation. And if you're not a student at IIN, that's fine too. Join in on the conversation, post your comments, ask your questions. We would love for everyone to join in to this discussion. So my topic is going to be, Dr. Nestle talked over and over and over again. She brought this up over and over in her lecture, which was eat less food. Eat less food. She brought it up multiple times as if that's the answer to the question. And I think most people would agree that that's the answer to our obesity epidemic. It's what doctors tell their patients. If you go see a nutritionist or a dietitian, it's what they will tell you. It's the modern day conventional answer to the obesity problem. But is it working? That's my question. Is it working? Well, no, we know that it's not. Even Dr. Nestle said in her lecture that we have an epidemic, we have a problem, and it's not getting any better. And so is that philosophy, that mentality, you just got to eat less, is that working? And what are the alternatives? And so that's what I would like our topic of discussion to be. And I would like to add that if you have a story, if you have a testimony, you know, share it in the comments below here on the Facebook page. Personally, if you watch my channel, you know my story. If you don't watch my channel, I've been sick. I always say this, I've been sick my whole life. I've had my moments of feeling better and feeling worse, but I have dealt with illness from a very early age, all through my life with various different things. And I got married in 2011. I weighed 155 pounds. I'm 5'9", and over the course of 3 years, I gained about 35, almost 40 pounds in that time. Because I was married and my husband was a good cook and we loved to eat out. And I just kind of adopted the philosophy that I'm just going to eat whatever I want. You know, I don't care. I'm just going to eat whatever I want. And that's what I did. And I gained almost 40 pounds in 3 years. And so I've since lost that weight, and I did it on a plant-based diet. And I didn't even go on the diet to lose weight. I went on the diet because I was so miserable in my health. I felt so miserable and I was desperate. And I thought I wanted to try this plant-based diet, but I was really, really scared to do it. And I put it off for a year. And finally I heard someone say, try it for 30 days. You can try anything for 30 days. And so I did, and I've been vegan ever since. It's been little over 2.5 years that I eat only plants. And in that time, I have eaten as much food as I wanted. I have eaten very large portions at every single meal, 3 meals a day, and I've done nothing but lose weight. So this philosophy that we just need to eat less, and I know Dr. Nestle, really, if you watch the lecture and you listen closely, what she's really saying is eat less junk food. She's saying eat less junk food. But that's not what she says. She just constantly brings this up. We just need to eat less. We just need to control our portions. We just need to decrease our portions. That's the answer. And she talked about other good points too. You know, we need to eat less. We need to move more. We need to eat organic. We need to teach our kids how to cook. She talked a lot about children and the importance of the message that we're sending to children and the obesity rates that are climbing among the kids. She talked about getting involved politically. She talked about, growing your own food. These are all great, buying organic, buying local. These are all great things that I totally agree with. So that's my story. I eat as much as I want. I eat very large portions. And what that's done for me, I didn't know it when I was on the standard American diet, but I had a really bad relationship with food. I didn't know it, but I had a bad relationship with food. I didn't realize that that I was a binge eater. The first time I ever heard of binging was when I'd heard of bulimia, and so I associated the two. People will, they will binge and then they will purge and they have bulimia, and so I never thought of myself as a binger. But how many times have you guys been like standing in front of the refrigerator, or you come home at the end of the day and you're shoving in leftover food, and you've got toast in the toaster, and you're digging for those olives in the back of the refrigerator, and you've got the freezer, the ice cream defrosting on the counter, and you're just shoving in the food as fast as you can. Have you ever been there? That's binging. That's binging. And why do we binge? And this is why I think this is such an important topic to talk about, is because when experts tell you just eat less, you just need to eat less. You need to create that caloric deficit, and you need to eat less. That sounds good. That sounds really good, because after all, calories in, calories out. If we burn more calories than we consume, we're going to lose weight, right? That sounds good. But when experts send the message that you need to eat less, I believe that what that does, and what it's done to me my whole life, and I believe it does to millions of other people, especially women, but everybody, is it creates a mentality or philosophy within us that we have to portion control, that we have to count calories, right? That we have to restrict. And so that creates within us kind of a starvation mentality. Not that we set out to say, I'm just going to starve myself. But how many of you have ever thought to yourself, maybe you're at the end of a day or halfway through the day, and you haven't eaten anything, and you think, oh, I was really good today. I haven't eaten anything. Or how many of you have gone on a diet and you're counting your calories and you're eating small portions, and you go, you're really good day 1, you're really good day 2, you're really good day 3, and you think, oh, I'm doing a really good job on my diet. And I know there are a lot of people out there that have gone on diets, and they've used willpower and discipline, and they've counted their calories, and they've lost weight, and they kept it off. That's awesome. I think that's great. However, I think the vast majority of us are just unable to do that. And here's why, and this is so key. This is so key. The reason that we're unable to maintain a diet based on, our self-discipline is because these bodies are miraculous, mysterious machines. And they have survival mechanisms within them. And if you begin to starve yourself, your body is going to let you know that it's hungry, right? We like to call that cravings. I just call it hunger. So if you skip a meal and you start to have those hunger cravings, urges, signals from your body, that's just your body telling you that its caloric needs have not been met, and its nutrient needs have not been met. It's just signaling you to let you know that. And so you might be thinking, well, what about, I eat and I eat and I eat, and I'm still always hungry. Well, again, if you're eating a diet that is comprised primarily of junk foods, plant foods have the nutrients, the vitamins, the minerals, the water, the carbs, the protein, the fat. They've got it all. And so if you're eating a diet that's deficient in those, a lot of junk foods, a lot of animal foods, then yeah, you're going to eat and eat and eat and still be hungry, because you're not meeting your nutrient needs. You may be meeting your caloric needs, but you're not meeting your nutrient needs. And those two things have to happen in order to reach true satiation. There's actually 3 things that happen. Meet your nutrient needs, meet your caloric needs, and your stretch receptors in your stomach have to stretch out. And so if you're just eating a little bit of food, those stretch receptors aren't going to stretch out, and you're not going to reach that satiation where you feel satisfied and you can stop eating and it's not a big deal and you're perfectly happy with that. So getting back to my old relationship with food, again, that mentality of eat less, I believe it's a very dangerous message, because it promotes that starvation mentality where you tell yourself, I'm going to portion control, and then what happens eventually in hours, days, weeks, eventually what will happen is you will binge. You will binge and eat everything in sight. And so we hear that, we always hear people say, I can remember the first time I ever heard someone say, chime in below if you've ever heard this saying, diets don't work. I remember the first time I ever heard that, I thought, that's dumb. Of course diets work if you just do them. If you just, if you stick to it, it's going to work. And that's true. But the saying diets don't work isn't about the fact that they don't work. It's about the fact that they don't work because we can't stick to them. That's what that saying is. And that's why people will lose some weight and then they will gain some weight, and then will lose some weight and they will gain some weight. And that's why that saying is that saying. It doesn't work because we're not able to lose the weight, maintain that weight loss, and and live it out, sustainably. That's why diets don't work. And so wouldn't it be nice just to be able to eat, as much as I wanted? What would that do to you if you could just eat as much as you wanted? Would that start to create within you a better relationship with food? Well, of course it does. My days of calorie restricting and portion controlling are behind me. And now I look forward to every single meal, and I enjoy my food so much more than I ever used to. And all of the stress and the guilt and all of that it's behind me. It's not a part of my life anymore. And it's a huge, wonderful burden that's lifted, not to mention the weight loss that's been lifted and how I feel as a result of that. Not to mention the healing that's taken in my place in my body because I'm eating the right foods, and not to mention the energy that I have because I'm giving my body the right foods. Okay? Let's see, there was one other thing I was just thinking about, and I lost it. Yeah. Okay, so, starches. That was the other thing that was mentioned in the lecture. She was talking about the governmental guidelines that came out and how they had suggested that these were governmental guidelines in schools for kids, suggesting that starches be limited to 2 servings per week. Starchy vegetables. So a lot of times when people think when they hear the word starchy vegetable, they think potatoes, which in my opinion, we should never limit potatoes. We should eat as many potatoes as we can get our hands on. They are such an amazing and wonderful source of nutrition. But starchy vegetables include potatoes, sweet potatoes, yams, squash, zucchini, beans, corn, peas, lentils. It's a wide variety of foods, and to tell anybody that they have to limit starchy vegetables is it's really a travesty. And I know that the first time I ever heard this concept, I was like, what? I'd heard about a book called The Starch Solution by Dr. John McDougall, and it's primarily the way that I eat. And it's basing your diet around starches and eating as much as you want. So again, instead of telling yourself you have to eat less in order to lose weight, you eat the right foods, you focus on eating the right foods, eat as much as you want, and the weight comes off. Now, that was the other thing I wanted to mention, if you are a person coming from a background of a lifetime of diets, of taking a lot of diet pills, of starving yourself, of restricting your calories, of binging and purging. If that is you, there's a really good chance that your metabolism is now not working as efficiently as it could be, because that really does do a number on your metabolism. I don't know, probably a lot of you heard the recent study that came out on the actual participants in the TV show, The Biggest Loser. From way back from one of the earliest seasons, they took those participants and they followed them over the course of the last 10 years. And one of the things that they concluded was that their metabolic rates are, I don't want to say destroyed, but they're really messed up. And why is that? It's because on that show, they have such extreme methods of starvation and extreme methods of exercise, and then they come back out into the real world and they do what I call just the, screw it mentality, I don't care, which most of us will reach at one point. If you starve yourself long enough, you will find yourself looking at that box of cookies going, screw it, I don't care. I mean, how many of you have been there? I know that I have talked to those cookies before and just said, you know what, you're going down. I'm eating you and you and you. You're in trouble because I'm eating this whole box, talking to my food like, there's this battle going on, and you just say, screw it, I just don't care. I'm eating this. And that's what happens when we starve ourselves. And so they studied these people over the course of the last 10 years, and they found that, most of them put the weight back on and then some, because they can't keep up those extreme methods, of living, of eating and of moving, eating less, moving more. And 2, once you get out into the real world and you start to put that weight back on and you're surrounded by all this temptation and reality, what happens? screw it, I don't care, I'm going to do whatever I want. And so now your metabolism is working down at this just, you know, pitter-patter rate, and you start to eat all the bad foods again, and the weight comes back on easily, and then some. So yeah, you guys, chime in below. If you have questions about, oh, that's the other thing, if you have questions about IIN, the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, you can post those below as well if you're not a student there. I recently became an ambassador for my program for the school. So if you have questions, I'd be happy to answer them. I am a new student, so I probably won't have all of the answers. But another thing that I can do is you can PM your email to me, and I can send that on to an advisor at the school, and they will contact you and they will answer all of the questions that you have. That's how I got started with this program. Someone contacted me and I started to ask questions. I actually got started, I want to wrap this up, this video is getting long, but I want to say good morning to all of my Miracle Morning friends that are out there watching. When I started the Miracle Morning, one of the very first mornings I sat down and I started to journal was, what am I going to do with my life in terms of this newfound information that I have received on health, on weight loss, on feeling amazing? How am I going to share this with others? I need to get some type of credibility. And so I was thinking I needed to enroll in some type of a certification or something. And so on one of the very things, it was the second morning that I was doing the Miracle Morning, I wrote down, you know, start exploring, you know, programs and schools, and start, you know, investigating, you know, and find something. And so I did. I spent about a week, and every morning I would look up a new program, new certification, new diploma, new school, and I would read about it. And so I had this whole list of all these different programs. And one of them was the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, and it was really just coming to the top of my list really, really quick. And so somebody contacted me. I notified them first through the referral program that I'm talking about now, and they contacted me, and I just was able to ask all my questions. There was no pressure. They were able to answer everything, and that's how I got started. So if you have an interest in the school, post it below, and we can talk about that. And there's a great discount you can receive if you enroll through the school through the ambassador referral program. So that's great as well. Okay, so I think I'm going to wrap this up and finish my porridge. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching and for participating in Up Your Game. I hope you have an awesome day.